Srila Prabhupada ki. So we will sing this beautiful bhajan, everyone. Prophet is sung on disappearance days of our great acharyas. We will make it happen. Very good. He who brought the treasure of divine love, and who was filled with compassion and mercy, where has such a personality as Srivasacharya gone?
Where am I Sri Damodar Nrupa Goswami? Where is Sanatana? Where is Raghunath Das, the Savior? Where is my
Prabhupada? Where is Krishnadas Kaviraj? Where is Lord Karan with his great dances?
I will smash my head against the rock and enter into the fire. Where will I find Lord Karanga, the reservoir of all wonderful qualities?
Being unable to obtain this information of background that
Thank you very much, everyone, for coming. You're welcome. The devotees to this most auspicious occasion, the disappearance anniversary of His Mightiest Srila Prabhupada, founder of Acharya of consciousness. It's a wonderful program today, and not only this morning lunchtime, but Srila Prabhupada did say one time that Krishna consciousness is a state when it's expanded. It is always expanding. And the expansion today, individually, in our own hearts, and collectively, in this wonderful worldwide society of devotees. But not only do we have a wonderful program now, but this evening also, everyone, extending the program. A lot of devotees don't get a chance to speak this morning, part of the program. So to facilitate that, New Govardhana are expanding so much more devotees moving here and joining here. There's an opportunity. So I just want to run through this evening's program first, everyone. And then we'll go back and just outline today's program. So at 5 o'clock this evening, everyone, devotees who'd like to make an offering, leave a homage, or tell some Prabhupada stories, please come. 5 p.m. starting this evening. At 6 o'clock, there will be Damodar prayers. At 6:30, Dora Arati. At 7 o'clock, everyone will sit down for more kirtan. There will be a special arati at 7:20, bhajans and lamp offering. Because, of course, I'm sure many of you know, it's at 7:25 on the 14th of November 1977, the exact time left this realm and returned to glory. So it's a program for this evening. And Vika will, just in case anyone's visiting from Surface Paradise, what time are you speaking at the Bhakti Center? Okay. Unfortunately. Postpone. Yes. And speaking of illnesses, everyone, as I'm sure many community members know, very hardworking and dear most Jiva Prabhu, Grace, come down with a very painful case of shingles. So keep him in your thoughts and prayers today. He is being ordered by Dr. Dan and other specialists. Complete rest, no management. The last 3 years, as we all know, have been very intense, and especially for a Jiva managing, you've got to go through very, very difficult restrictions and very massive challenges. So his body has just shut down. Keep him in your thoughts and prayers today. And I just wanted to mention a few, I better mention today's program, everyone. But just big thank you to Matarangi and her team. A couple of other devotees helped with the gorgeous decorations of Srila Prabhupada Piazza. Thank you, Matarangi, and your assistance there. The Bangaladesh Lady Darcy has overseen the creation of so many gorgeous garlands today, which will be offered to Srila Prabhupada at lunchtime. And also Kalindi has done this wonderful artistic creation on the temple windows here. You can please come up, everyone, at some time. Beautiful prayers there. If we had a Srila Prabhupada, you might be able to read where you are, or at least come up a bit closer. This was beautiful prayer Srila Prabhupada offered to Krishna whilst aboard the Jaladuta on his arrival in America. Heartfelt prayers there. And most importantly, you can see in the gorgeous artwork there, Prabhupada, quoting his spiritual master, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, he very much wanted chanting Hare Krishna as the Gauranga Mahaprabhu spread to every town and village, and even including, actually maybe I would read, not only towns and villages, but forests, streams, rivers, mountains. Lindy's gorgeously created all this in this masterpiece of art here. So just do a meditation up there sometime today. So yes, we'll start the offerings very soon, everyone, at 11:50 punctually, 12 o'clock for Puja Arati, your time for today. So, all right. So we don't have any of our residents announcements here yet. I'm not sure if you are, sometimes doesn't count for disappearance day. It's a very emotional time for all of us, and we have many senior God brethren who I know just find it easier to get through this day by sometimes just staying in their own rooms and meditating very deeply on our short. But if they come, we will certainly invite them to speak. We have wonderful, and perhaps some time. So we're right on time here, and as I normally do, Gussie, most, if you'd like to please come and give your eyes. And as always, remember that we got to keep it today too. Yes. Have you got a bell and the all right. I'll tell you what we'll do. Could somebody please just pass a pair of cards? You get a bell? Okay. So 5 minutes for offerings and without saying thanks. What's the clarification? I'm very sure auspicious.
So, dear Srila Prabhupada, as a Charya, you preached and translated till your very last breath. No one can say that your passing was anything like a normal, gruesome, mundane death. Surrounded by your loving disciples in your home, beloved Vrindavan, with worldwide kirtans raging, Krishna took you gently, sweetly in his arms and carried you back to loving pastimes, eternally engaging. A glorious passing, although unexpected departure, you set example. You left the bhakti seed, and rightly so. However, that vibrant, energetic, determined, loving personality we adored left us with nowhere to go, except for that heartfelt, devastating, yet surprisingly blissful mood of ongoing separation from you. So we struggle on, your teachings in our hearts, we slowly realize to be absolutely true. Each year, we must again say goodbye to our hero, our master, whom our path back to Godhead did nicely arrange. And it hurts us like Krishna's arrows piercing Bhishma Dev's heart, who felt yet excited by the transcendental exchange. As the representative of Radha and Krishna, to carry Srila Prabhupada, the light of the worlds is not a burden, but a privilege sublime. It's a joy a wonder, an honor, a dire necessity, a disciple's sacred duty. It's an absolute miracle divine. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada.
As a special guru, would you mind, please, your followed by Sukla, after that.
Today is a day of expression of heartfelt gratitude to Srila Prabhupada, founder Acharya of our ISKCON Society and spiritual master. Midway through last century, Western society had no idea about the direction it was taking. And those who had the insight understood that the road to so-called riches to be a dead end, but there were no real alternatives. So this morning's epic lecture that we heard from Srila Prabhupada in Melbourne in 1974, where he described this society, this dead-end society, as a society of cats and dogs. He said it 3 times. So after that, after this lecture, the film went on to show how it all began with the chanting of the Maha Mantra. Srila Prabhupada just chanting the Hare Krishna mantra under a tree. In Tompkins Square Park, he said regularly from 2 to 5 every day, 3 hours. No prasadam in the beginning, just the chanting. Then the disciples came, so appreciative that they'd finally been given the right direction on how to live their life. Then came the prasadam. That was out of this world. The philosophy that made sense to everyone, and then the subliminal connection with Krishna. And so many young people began to imbibe the sweetness of a Krishna conscious lifestyle. Half a century later, more and more people are hearing from Srila Prabhupada's profound lectures, discussions, beautiful transcendental melodies, and have all been preserved for a long time to come. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote, "He reasons ill who says that Vaishnavas die when thou art living still in sound. Vaishnavas die to live, and living try to spread the holy name around." So this is what we're here for today, for the glorification of Srila Prabhupada, and in doing so, spread the holy name around, just as Srila Prabhupada wanted. Srila Prabhupada ki.
It's probably okay. Is it okay? Oh, yeah, just a little, because I don't. Srila Prabhupada left India in August 1965 with nothing but 3 trunks of his published books. He returned in August 1970 with 40 temples and a few thousand devotees under his guidance and a $60,000 printing contract with a publisher in Japan. He went around the world, stole conditioned souls from the clutches of Maya and released them with the opportunity to make a pilgrimage right to the lotus feet of Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Sri Radha and Krishna. Those days had a special flavor. Cooperation reached all-time highs during his visits. The devotees' enthusiasm, their natural love, and selfless dedication to Srila Prabhupada shone through. Witnesses to service and perform austerities became second nature. It is in these qualities that a devotee needs to thrive and survive. And with Srila Prabhupada's inspiration, we all endeavored. Always keeping to his schedule, Srila Prabhupada's walks during the quiet, cool mornings were especially peaceful, special, and were often, for many of us, the highlight of his visits. He always managed to return just on time for the greeting of the deities without a watch or knowing where he was at that particular time of the morning. Once when the Vyasa-san had been shifted to the far end of the temple room, a devotee inquired from Prabhupada whether it was too far away from the deities. Srila Prabhupada replied, "There is no question of distance between Krishna and me." His classes always created an amazing spiritual mood, and the identity of self-importance in all of us vanished. Srila Prabhupada explained that one must be humble, meek, and follow the instructions of the spiritual master. This is the real qualification. This kind of determination to do anything, sacrifice anything, we know is not easily obtained. Prabhupada expressed, "Our Krishna consciousness is a society of devotees." Srila Prabhupada continued, "Never to go away. Discrepancies may be there, you shall adjust. This chanting and dancing within the society has got great advantage and great value. A devotee doesn't want to go back to Godhead. This is not his desire. When Krishna desires, Krishna will allow. Otherwise, let me go on in this way, in the society of devotees, chanting and dancing. This is my business. This is required, nothing else." So I was just thinking a little bit, Srila Prabhupada left us an amazing legacy, and his direct disciples and I, we obviously converse that his instructions and his direct orders be maintained in the futures to come. And so that's a really important point that everyone must take on board, because things can deviate very easily. I have one story that I have to tell. It's just amazing. I was reading about, in 1954, Prabhupada's first disciple, and he were traveling throughout India, and they were doing kirtans and little lectures. And one night, this disciple, Acharya Bhatta, I'm not exactly sure his name, I forgot the name, he was listening and he could hear in the temple room this amazing kirtan going on. So he went down and he saw Srila Prabhupada with a madanga dancing around the temple room, chanting and singing and crying. And he didn't know what to do. And so he went to Srila and he saw Prabhupada had this garland on him, and it was a Kadamba garland. But he said, that the Kadamba flowers are sometimes just the size of golf balls, but these ones were the size of tennis balls. And the garland went all the way down to Srila Prabhupada's feet. And he was wondering, and he said to Prabhupada, "Where did you get this garland?" And Prabhupada wouldn't answer. He just continued chanting. Anyway, so next morning he went up and he said the temple room was filled with this amazing scent. So the next morning he went up to Srila Prabhupada and he said, "Prabhupada, where is this? Where did you get that garland? Where was this scent from the temple room? So wonderful." And he said, Prabhupada started crying. And he said, Prabhupada said, "I was chanting and Krishna came and gave me the garland. And then when I went to touch his feet, he disappeared from my sight." And so I thought that was pretty fabulous story. Jai Haribol. Just one other thing. Prabhupada would sometimes chant, he said, for 3 days non-stop, without eating, without stopping. I thought that was pretty important.
Vaishnavi, can I just request you keep a little bit of an avenue at the front door, because and perhaps we can just scoot some of these mats around, especially the doorway. If there's anybody outside, it's hot, there's fantastic seats inside here, everyone. There's a nice cool breeze coming through, so really comfortable.
Hare Krishna. Excuse me for speaking out of order here. From the very beginning, when Srila Prabhupada instructed his first students on spiritual life in the late 1960s, he backed up his teaching with 3 big volumes of Srimad Bhagavatam that he carried with him. He had translated these books from the Sanskrit and struggled to have them printed before he left India. He told us that this scripture was referred to as the spotless Purana. At the time, we had no means of knowing whether something was authorized, or, as we learned to say, whether something was bona fide. It was Srila Prabhupada himself who warned us, don't accept just any teacher. Don't be cheated. When we first met Srila Prabhupada, none of us were familiar with the Vedic literature, and obviously we didn't know Sanskrit. We now know that many of the so-called teachers who appeared in the West were not offering something genuine, nor did they live according to the principles that they might have referred to. One of the early devotees, who actually was a university scholar, described professors of Sanskrit attending barbecues, having a glass of wine, and smoking their pipes. But studying under these teachers never changed anyone's life. The Srimad Bhagavatam defines the actual duty of the Guru as finding the means, according to the time, the circumstances, and the candidate, by which one can be induced to render devotional service which is attractive to Krishna. The Bhagavatam further explains that the genuine Acharya will engage the devotees so they may render service according to the references from Scripture. Srila Prabhupada revealed to us how hundreds of years ago, great souls like Rupa Goswami published devotional books like the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, just to help devotees who would appear way into the future. This idea of saintly persons leaving something for the future is taken up in the Bhagavatam 10th canto when the demigods pray to the Supreme Lord. When acharyas completely take shelter under your lotus feet in order to cross the fierce ocean of nescience, they leave behind on earth the method by which they cross. This image really struck me of past acharyas leaving behind them on this earth a path that we can follow. It's now been 45 years since His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada left this world, but the path that he chalked out for us is still clear. As Srila Prabhupada humbly reminded us, I have not invented anything new, but I am simply carrying the same divine message that my Guru Maharaj delivered to me. One of the symptoms of an empowered acharya is that he or she can implant the seed of spiritual consciousness into another's heart. We can see that it was Prabhupada's legacy that some of his disciples have now implanted that same message into another generation of devotees. We all have the great good fortune of receiving inspiration and being uplifted by the wonderful devotees who are carrying on Srila Prabhupada's mission. And when we observe the newer devotees, we see that the connection to the power source is just as strong. They glow with the same wonderful, amazing brilliance. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, dear devotees.
So after also for Guru goes to speak, after Narika, that will be fantastic. So much. Followed by Krishna.
Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So I first want to read from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya Leela, chapter 7, text 12, purport. Srila Prabhupada explains there, the true Acharya, the spiritual master of the entire world, must be considered an incarnation of Krishna's mercy. Indeed, he's personally embracing Krishna. He's therefore the spiritual master of all the varanas and ashramas. Since he is understood to be the most advanced devotee, he is called Paramahansa Thakur. Therefore, one who acts as an acharya, directly presenting Lord Krishna by spreading his name and fame.
Glorify you the way you should be glorified. So I turn to the scriptures in order to be able to do something like this. Prabhupada, you were Ajata Satru. Another name for Maharaj Yudhisthira was Ajata Satru, loved by all. Once a disciple said to you, Srila Prabhupada, everyone loves you. And you answered, that is because I love everyone. You have so much compassion for us, lost jivas rotting in this material world, that you sacrificed everything in your old age to step aboard the Jaladuta and become a stranger in a strange land. In the 4th canto, it describes, just like water flowing from a mountain, when Krishna is pleased with a devotee, everyone else is also pleased.
Since Dhruva Maharaj was blessed by the Lord due to his transcendental qualities, everyone was bound to offer him all respects and benedictions, just as water, by its nature, flows downwards. Please, Srila Prabhupada, help me to find compassion in my heart. I beg to be able to please you in some way that I may get your mercy. Be compassionate on this fallen disciple. Visionary. You envisioned the concept of the global village decades before popularization of this idea. In the preface in second canto, you wrote, human society is no longer bounded by geographical limits to particular countries or communities. The world tendency is toward one state or one human society. Prabhupada, you established ISKCON to give shelter to the seekers and to create a house everyone can live in. We can travel from temple to temple, country to country, and always feel anchored by the spiritual programs and practices you established for us. Please, Srila Prabhupada, keep me fixed in the shade of your lotus feet and under the shelter of your ISKCON. Humility. The pure devotee is decorated with the deepest humility. Although deserving of the highest praise and respect, alongside your pure devotion, Srila Prabhupada, you exhibited such sincere humility. Tears fall from our eyes when we meditate on that quality of yours. In 4th Canto, chapter 12, verse 33, in the purport, you write, sometimes I think that even though I am crippled in so many ways, if one of my disciples becomes as strong a devotee as Dhruva Maharaj, then he will be able to carry me with him to Vaikuntha. Srila Prabhupada, your spiritual strength is so formidable. You began a spiritual revolution that in time to come will be acknowledged by the entire world. Whole world sunshine, Srila Prabhupada, was the invocation cry of the old Bengali devotee in Calcutta Temple. It was filled by adoration of you. We'd love to hear that, and we would emulate it in Calcutta Temple. Whole world sunshine, Srila Prabhupada. He meant that you filled the whole world with sunshine, Srila Prabhupada. Please, Srila Prabhupada, keep me warm in the sunshine of your mercy. Prabhupada, you are empowered. In 4th Canto, chapter 20, verse 25, we read, my dear Lord, you are glorified by the selected verses uttered by great personalities. Such glorification of your lotus feet is just like saffron particles. When the transcendental vibration from the mouths of great devotees carries the aroma of the saffron dust of your lotus feet, the forgetful living entity gradually remembers his eternal relationship with you. Devotees thus gradually come to the right conclusion about the value of life. My dear Lord, I therefore do not need any other benediction but the opportunity to hear from the mouth of your pure devotee. Please, Srila Prabhupada, let me always hear your voice, that transcendental vibration that carries the aroma of the saffron mercy particles found on Krishna's lotus feet. You lead by example. In 7th Canto, chapter 10, verse 3, you explain that a devotee who comes in accordance with the order of the Supreme Lord shows by his personal behavior how to become a pure devotee. Srila Prabhupada, you told Bhavananda Prabhu that Krishna asked you to come to this material world and convinced you that he would help you. On that order, you came to save us and show us how to love Krishna purely. In verse 5, it is described that the pure devotee is anya balasita sunyam. He has no desire for material profit, nor does the Lord induce him to try and profit materially. Srila Prabhupada, I'm definitely a work in progress. Please don't give up on me. Our beloved spiritual master, you continue to live in your books, your lectures, your inspiration. We beg to remain your servant, birth after birth. Jai. I can read.
Disciples. He is the beacon that lights our pathway in our spiritual journey. Srila Prabhupada was a wonderful man, a visionary with transcendental purity and a revolutionary spirit, a spiritual revolution for mankind. He was courageous, determined, devout, and unwavering in duty. Thus he remains an inspiration for all of us who are aspirants on the path of transcendence. No matter what our field of service or interests are, we can always find inspiration and points of reference from Srila Prabhupada's life and example. Srila Prabhupada had to work very hard for everything he achieved, and despite all setbacks, both large and small, he remained fixed. We loved and still love Srila Prabhupada for his practicality, his simplicity, his vast learning, and his expertise in all matters of bhakti. The current continued expansion and consolidation of ISKCON is direct evidence of his expertise and vision. Even the simple programs he gave us remain our source of nourishment and fulfillment in our execution of bhakti. Srila Prabhupada was the most enthusiastic member of ISKCON, and thus he inspired his followers in all matters that they undertook in execution of their duties. There is a chapter in Krishna book that Srila Prabhupada titled Wonderful Krishna, which is a summary of Krishna's pastimes on earth. Similarly, we can take all of Srila Prabhupada's writings and teachings and all of the books or biographies written by his disciples. We can put them all together under the banner or title of Wonderful Prabhupada. Those who are seekers on the path of bhakti will find unlimited inspiration in all of that material. Thank you, Wonderful Prabhupada. I just wanted to read a couple of short stories which indicate Prabhupada's practicality in matters. And also something about his particular quality. So I'll read the first one about practicality. When Srila Prabhupada first went back to India with his American disciples, he sometimes took them in tours of holy places in Vrindavan and Mayapur. One day, Prabhupada was to go with a few disciples in an old American Dodge automobile to visit Devnagar, the birthplace of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Prabhupada rode in the front seat with the driver, Shyam Sundar, and about 4 other devotees squeezed into the back seat. They soon discovered, unfortunately, that the old Dodge didn't have a horn. Driving in India without a horn is almost impossible, and the journey was an anticipated 2 hours. Srila Prabhupada was therefore concerned how they would be able to make it. Soon after they had started, however, Prabhupada devised a horn of his own making. He found a metal plate in the car. Then he had the car stop, and the boys got him a stick off the ground. As they rode along, Srila Prabhupada would hold the plate outside the car window and bang on it with a stick whenever there was a need of a horn for passing cars and for shooing people and animals from the road. The devotees were amazed and overjoyed at the simple display of Prabhupada's horn, which he continued to operate from the front seat during the whole journey. This will be copied by the Indians, Srila Prabhupada said. They will think that it's a new American invention. They will also get plates and sticks and use them instead of the horn. So just another short one I'd like to read. When Srila Prabhupada was about to leave Los Angeles for a world tour in 1976, he called some of the devotees to his room. "Open my almirah," he said to Rameswara Swami. Not long. Who opened the metal locker containing Srila Prabhupada's clothes. "You see those curtains?" Srila Prabhupada said. "Pick one." Rameswara picked out a bright orange one. "You like that one?" Prabhupada asked. "Yes." "All right, that is for you," he said. Rameswara was overwhelmed to receive the treasure of a remnant of Srila Prabhupada's clothes. Other devotees also received clothes and gifts from Srila Prabhupada's hand. Then it was almost time for him to go to the airport. With graceful artistry, Prabhupada sat at his desk and applied the Vaishnava tilak to his forehead. Rameswara thought to himself that everything about Prabhupada, the way he sat or walked, the way he dressed, and the way he put on his tilak, was all majestic and opulent. As Prabhupada stood to leave the room, Rameshwar voiced his appreciation. Prabhupada, you appear to us to be just like a king. I am much more than any king, said Srila Prabhupada, and then he walked downstairs. There he was met by 100 devotees who accompanied him to the airport as he began another world tour. Srila Prabhupada, ki jai. So, we've got a little bit of time here. I'm going to read my opinion in just a couple of moments that we went. A lot of devotees are away in India, as we know, for the first time in 3 or 4 years. There's an Srila Prabhupada encouragement. But after I speak, we've invited Nanda to speak some words, and also outside, Hari Prabhu. Would you like to come? I'm waving to you. If you can see me here, yeah. If you feel up to it, have a think about it. And I'm just going to put it out amongst our Vaishnavas and Sri Ram. Is that pointing in Sri Ram's direction? You just got pointed to Sri Ram. Right, and you go. Madhurangi, perhaps you, and yeah, we know Prabhupada said many times that the grandparents are even more affectionate to the grandchildren than the children's own parents. So on this very auspicious day, if some of Srila Prabhupada's got granddaughters, grandsons, would like to speak, it would be wonderful.
All good. All good. Thanks. Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my most humble obeisances in the dust of your lotus feet. Whilst researching the life, yeah. Should I let you do it? That's okay. Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my most humble obeisances in the dust of your lotus feet. Whilst researching the life of Srila Ramachandra Kaviraj recently, I came across this verse which reminded me of you, and I'll quote. Sriman Mahaprabhu is so kind that he manifests the nectar of the Hare Krishna mantra. The holy name will free all souls from the cycle of birth and death, from lower planets, from hell. The holy name will give one a taste of divine love of Radhamadhava. Whether blind or dumb, anyone can drown in this flood of prema. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has filled everyone with love of God. But Ramachandra Das is so unfortunate that he couldn't even taste a drop of that nectar. It is you, Srila Prabhupada, who most mercifully continues to flood the globe with the nectarian teachings of Mahaprabhu through this powerful branch of the Chaitanya tree known as ISKCON. One of my favorite yearly meditations on your divine grace is to borrow your Vyasa Puja book out of the bookcase for a few days and read from devotees of all ages and from all places are very inspiring. We hear that this Tirubhav Mahotsava, or disappearance festival of your divine grace and our predecessor acharyas, is more important than your appearance day celebrations. On this occasion, we can look back on your extraordinary accomplishments in fulfilling Mahaprabhu's prediction that his names would one day be chanted in every town and village. On the occasion of the passing away of his father and spiritual guide, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, his son, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, spoke thus. Today is a day of great happiness and not the slightest grief. Today our Master has re-entered the eternal pastimes of the Lord. Now it is our duty to remember his eternal position, name, qualities, form, and pastimes. Henceforward, we will follow in his footsteps with even greater concentration. It's from the Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Vaibhava. We draw some comfort from your spiritual master's words, but being a neophyte, my mind can't help but recall the anguish when just a few days after celebrating the first ever Govardhan Puja here at New Govardhan, your dear Tribhuvanath Prabhu told us all back in Sydney that you had departed. Like many of your predecessor acharyas, you chose this sacred month of Kartik to return to their lordships in Goloka Vrindavan, mission accomplished. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada, for allowing us to serve their lordships and you and your mission, devotees, and thousands of spiritual seekers who visit us here at your New Govardhan every year. With a grateful heart, your spiritual son, Alalanath Das. So, Damodar Ji, please. Damodar has also agreed kindly to lead the beautiful midday Arati Kirtan. Hari Bol.
Jai Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prastaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanavane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine, Nirvishesha Shumnavadi Pashtadesha. Aside with him. You exemplify this, Srila Prabhupada. You perhaps met in person Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur 5 or 6 times. And yet you drank so deeply from his instructions that this empowered you to take the mission everywhere. We know at Kumbh Mela in, I think, 1935, you were sitting there the entire time listening to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur speak. Others would come and go, maybe listen for an hour, hour and a half, get restless, go and do other things. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur observed, I have marked him. He likes to hear. We consider the great lengths you went to make your Vani available. Your outputs of your words, recorded words, written words are phenomenal. We have many, many lifetimes of association to take. And this is our lifeline. If we don't fully comprehend everything that you encapsulated in those instructions, our ability to represent you is seriously compromised. Of course, we remember as well with great gratitude your sacrifice, the courage to say, I'm going to accept that Lord Chaitanya's prophecy is not some poetry, and that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's hope for Krishna consciousness in the West was not vain. I will personally get aboard that boat without contacts, without money, only with my faith. And that's what you did, Srila Prabhupada. You brought Krishna consciousness at great personal sacrifice. I'll conclude with one verse that's spoken of Lord Shiva in the 8th canto when he drinks the ocean of poison. Tapyante lokatapena sadhava prayasojana paramaradhanam taddi purushasya kilatmana. It is said that great personalities almost always take on voluntary suffering to relieve the sufferings of people in general. This is the highest method of worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead who is present in everyone's heart. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Rocky, how are you feeling? Would you like to speak a little after David Hari? Is that okay? Okay. Other Vaishnavis, ladies, any of you can I see a show of hands? Sorry,
I just have a really great Rameshwar story.
all right. Let's give the devotees a chance today because they don't. Thank you very much. All right, cool. There's one hand. Okay. Anyone else, ladies? Fantastic. I'll let you. Sure. Maybe one after another. You two ladies can speak after they go ahead.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya,
Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Today I've been on the spot. I didn't have anything planned. I actually had something planned for Prabhupada's appearance day, but there were so many incredible Prabhupada direct disciples that I was just going to share something that's sort of happened to me, I guess, in the last little while, just about Prabhupada's position as the acharya that then created other acharyas or gurus. So Prabhupada's acharya with the big A, but he's also created many, you might say, small A acharyas or gurus, sadgurus he's created. And recently I've heard sometimes written on the internet and places that Srila Prabhupada, he was a great guru, he was the savior of the world and so much glorification, but his followers, they're more or less in a way saying that they're not really the real thing, they're not real gurus, they're not able to deliver Krishna Prema, love of Godhead. And I was thinking about this, that if someone says that, you know, Prabhupada is a great guru, is a great acharya, but then he hasn't created other gurus, and then this is a philosophically illogical statement. It's not a sound logic. Parvata Muni, he glorified Narada Muni when he came back to Siddhartha Mragari and said, the incredible thing is that you're like a touchstone. You're able to give this spiritual consciousness to this hunter. And so I've been meditating on this a bit, and this is a personal story, what I'm about to say. It's not a political statement at all, but I think around 1998, the GBC made a resolution that the grand disciples should say the pranam mantra of their spiritual master, Diksha Guru, and then the pranam mantra of Prabhupada together. Anybody who was here would remember that, I think, around that time. So we dutifully followed that, and every time we pay obeisances, we'd say prayer to our spiritual master, Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale, Srimati Jaya Pataka Swaminiti Namine, and then Prabhupada said, Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale, Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. And so sometime recently, I was making an offering to my deities at home, and I was saying, I paid obeisance to my prayer, and I said, hang on, if I'm saying the prayer to my spiritual master and then to Prabhupada, isn't that something like that idea? That Prabhupada is so great, I have to say his prayer. I can't just say my spiritual master's prayer because isn't that saying that Prabhupada is not able to make my spiritual master as a Sadguru to give me Krishna Prema? So this is not a political statement. I fully support the GBC. I fully support, and I did at the time, and I'm sure it was wonderful for me to do that. But now I say the full prayers to my spiritual master, knowing that he's a spiritual master because Prabhupada made spiritual masters. Prabhupada made spiritual masters all around the world. So anyway, so I'd just like to offer this small glorification to Prabhupada and Srila Prabhupada that, and as many devotees said, we weren't present here personally. We're so thankful to the disciples of Prabhupada who share that feeling of actually being with Prabhupada, but we can access his mercy through his books and also through his direct disciplic succession. So when we take initiation by a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, we're connected, we're plugging into that power, and Prabhupada is empowering those devotees to then to purify us and to accept our service on behalf of Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Prabhupada Anugas ki jai. Thank you very much. Yes, and Srila, how are you feeling about it? like just fantastic. Perhaps after Radharani and then future ladies. Okay, questions? Thank you very much. And a big thank you, as we mentioned earlier, to Radharani and her assistants. Gorgeous decoration of Srila Prabhupada's Gyasa sound to that. Radharani, thank you so much.
Welcome. Thanks, Tanya. Sure. Hare Krishna. I'm going to just kind of speak from the heart a little bit and share some reflections because I didn't write anything. Srila Prabhupada. For me, this year has been a year of listening a little bit closer, a little seeing, watching, paying attention to the disciples of Srila Prabhupada and also reading more, which has been a wonderful way to get to know Srila Prabhupada. There was a fantastic little section which I very much liked and related to, because when you take on responsibility within businesses or your workplace or devotional service, sometimes you have challenges or sometimes you can doubt yourself. All these things come up. And I saved it because I wanted to meditate on this. It says in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 13, in the 17th purport, it says, "The devotees of the Lord, who are all confidential servitors, are sometimes perplexed in the discharge of their respective duties, but they are never discouraged. They have full faith in the Lord, and He paves the way for the smooth progress of the devotees' duties." I read this, and then I came to Alalanath Prabhu's class on the day that Srila Prabhupada boarded the Jaladuta, the anniversary. And it was so interesting to hear Prabhu speak, and he had a bit more realization than I did, so the emotion was coming up. And this, it highlighted the significance of that action and all those, the challenges leading up to it, the emotions that Srila Prabhupada was facing. Most of us would have been discouraged, especially when so many of these God brothers, so many people are saying, don't worry about it. It's an impossible task. Don't worry. It's okay to be simple. It's, just do your bhajan in Vrindavan. But he wasn't discouraged, and he had that determination and continued forward. And then all of these different things started presenting themselves. It all kind of manifested and unraveled. And in this morning's class, Prabhupada said, I didn't have anything. I didn't have the prasadam distribution. I didn't have the books. There was only a few books. I didn't have a drum. All I had was the chanting of the holy name in Tompkins Square Park. So to be so raw and so vulnerable, Srila Prabhupada, you have all my respect. It's quite an amazing thing. Determination, that's what's standing out. And in there, you also, in this morning's class, you also said, if you believe that behind nature is, the machine of nature is a God, then you know Him. So for me, I'm learning to lean into the believing, and then from that believing, the action, so that I can kind of manage my life in a way that I'm not sometimes choosing Krishna, sometimes choosing other things, and living a Krishna conscious life in the way that you gave it. We were reading the Nectar of Devotion, and the introduction just starts off with, here's the formula to happiness. And I was like, yes, please. This is what I want. And you're giving everything, the formula to happiness, which is everybody wants happiness. And you've given a perfect process, and I hope to practice that process. And I pray that I can continue to read and get to know you more and spend time with the devotees, because from their realization, then I can know you more. There was also something that really stood out for me is nothing remains unachieved when the Supreme Personality of Godhead is pleased with someone. I believe that when I see Srila Prabhupada's actions and everything that he achieved, again, it's the empowerment. And I like this idea of conviction and empowerment. Srila Prabhupada had total conviction that if he followed his spiritual master's instruction, that empowerment would come and success would be there. So no doubt Krishna is pleased with you, and I pray that somehow I can please yourself and your disciples, and then by doing that, then Krishna is also pleased with me. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Narayan. And then, a few more hands. I did see Krishna Kirtan outside. So, Benkei, can you stand up? He's playing.
I think it's okay.
Krishna Kirtan, if you'd like to speak after the parties, that would be wonderful.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
You,
Believe it or not, I'm not a very good public speaker. I'm a very loud person and confident person and proud person, but not very good at public speaking. But due to the encouragement of my aunties, I'll stand here and say something. My realizations aren't very deep. I'm not a very scholarly person. I don't study. I don't read any of your books, so therefore my realizations aren't deep and meaningful. I can't talk about your glories and how much you've done and all these things because I don't have those realizations. But what I can be is very grateful. So my understanding is of gratitude. I have gratitude for what you've given us, or for what you've given me personally, because for what you've given us is also too big a thing for me to understand. But what you've given me is a family. You've given me this New Govardhana, which to me means everything. You've given me a place, even though my family structure that I was brought up in is not very perfect. You've given me something where I can belong and something that I can work towards and strive towards being part of. And that's very important to me. So that in itself, I have a lot of gratitude towards. I can't understand that you are a perfect person, because a perfect person for me is something that's inconceivable. Most of the time, I can't even understand that there is a God or that Krishna is a God. I have so many questions and so many unanswered feelings, but I'm very, very grateful to you, Srila Prabhupada, for this family that you have given me here on New Govardhana, and for all the devotees, all the senior devotees that have shown me so much care and that always encourage me to do more. Please give me your blessings that I can do more, and the opportunities that you give me, I don't say no to, that I actually take these opportunities and try and do more for the devotee community. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Prabhupada's offering will be brought in very shortly, everyone. I just need a couple of assistants to hold the curtain up.
Hare Krishna, I offer you my humble obeisances, dear Srila Prabhupada. I wasn't gonna do this. This is very spontaneous and unprepared, but I actually wrote a letter on Srila Prabhupada's appearance day that I never thought I would speak out loud. But I'm just gonna, I don't even remember really what was in it. I just remember it was really from the heart. So I guess I'm gonna share that with you. Dear Srila Prabhupada, I offer you my humble obeisances. All glories to you, dear grandfather. There are not enough words to express my gratitude for all that you have done for us. I often use the word indebted when I think of you. That is how I feel. I feel indebted to you. You came to the West to preach, to fulfill the order of your spiritual master. You came with just a few rupees and a lot of struggles on the way. You were 69 years old of age. And when you came to America and you gave us the biggest gift of our lives. You gave us so many things. You gave us morals. You gave us love. You gave us knowledge. You gave us compassion. You gave us courage. You gave us bliss. You gave us faith. You gave us hope. You gave us the highest quality of life. And you gave us the highest truth. You gave us Krishna consciousness. And through you, that passes on from generation to generation. You did not expect anything in return for all of that you had given. All you wanted was to fulfill the desire of your spiritual master, which was to give us the knowledge that we are not this body, we are a soul, and have an eternal relationship with God, Krishna. You had so much dignity and respect for everyone and everything. You praised other religions and said anyone could follow any religion as long as it teaches us how to love God. You praised Jesus Christ as a great devotee of the Lord. You showed us that we have been here many, many lifetimes, reincarnating from body to body, making the same mistakes over and over, based on our own selfish desires, going on through the cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease. We suffer just by the simple fact that everything is temporary. So even those who think they enjoy the most actually suffer the greatest when death comes near and they need to let go of all the possessions that they thought were theirs. We came with nothing and we leave with nothing but our desires. Often I get overwhelmed by emotions and sometimes I weep and feel brokenhearted as if I knew you before in a past life and miss you so dearly. But then I remember what you said. You are still here with us. You are still here with us through your books, and I can see that. Actually, you live on through many more things. You live on through your disciples, through your recorded lectures, through all the ISKCON temples and your murtis. You are here with us always, and once in a while, if we are fortunate enough, you come to us in our dreams with the most amazing instructions that we can directly apply to our lives forever. Dear Srila Prabhupada, you gave us the urgency to give it our all, to go back to Godhead, not next lifetime, but this lifetime. You gave us the tools to do so, and you didn't take any credit for that. You simply repeated the Shastra and translated the books. Following the order of your spiritual master, I am your servant forever indebted. May I accomplish to read all your books this lifetime. May I always remember all that you have done, so I don't take anything for granted. May I stay fixed in my sadhana and chant my 16 rounds every day. May I serve your dear devotees and treat them with respect. May I always progress so that when I breathe my last breath, I will see you and join you back to Godhead. Dear Srila Prabhupada, I love you so dearly. And I hope to make you proud this lifetime. I know I'm a little rascal, but I also hope you can see that I'm trying. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances and the dust of your lotus feet. All glories to your divine grace. It's been 45 years since you departed this earthly realm, Srila Prabhupada. During those 45 years, there has been many times when your ISKCON has been in turbulent waters. But the biggest realization in these times is the absolute necessity to develop an unshakable faith in you and know that you are ISKCON's guiding light. We worship you every day in your temples, singing prayers and offering flowers to your lotus feet. Your regal Murti graces the temple room as you constantly take darshan of your beautiful lordships. Guests that come are introduced to your divine grace and your glories are sung. Srila Prabhupada, I cannot count the numerous times I have been regretting not having to be able to have your personal darshan when you were on the planet. The great Mahabhagavata walked amongst us. How fortunate are your disciples who were able to have your personal association, your loving glance, and the empowerment to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. Yet I realize that Srila Prabhupada magic is still well and truly alive. You are within the pages of your books, and we live with you by following your instructions. You appear in dreams of devotees and even newcomers who receive your books. You look after the welfare of us, your followers, as your children and grandchildren, and are forever bestowing your merciful glance on us. As we observe the 45th anniversary of your disappearance, it is a time of reflective meditation upon you, Srila Prabhupada. and what you mean in our lives, what you have done for us, and what you continue to do for us. You are the self-effulgent Acharya to whom the world owes a massive debt. You said, in the future, historians will note how this Krishna consciousness movement saved the world in its darkest hour. With a straw in my mouth, I fall down and offer repeated obeisances to you, Srila Prabhupada, and beg for you to always hold my hand as I stumble and fall on the way back to the spiritual world. You are ever merciful. You can empower a lame man to cross mountains, a dumb man to recite eloquent poetry, and a blind man to see the stars. All glories to you, Srila Prabhupada, your eternally grateful servant.
Sure, I thought I was going to escape. I'm normally down with the cows. It's quite extraordinary. I was just meditating, sitting there, that what we're all just hearing devotees out have been affected by Srila Prabhupada's grace. And this festival is going on all over the world in thousands and thousands of places and homes and temples and massive gatherings in Mayapur. The influence of Srila Prabhupada's had on people's lives is just mind-boggling, because it's not just a singular type of influence like maybe like a pop star or a sports star might have. It's in every aspect of our lives, And I'm always meditating. Everything I do practically throughout my day from the time I get up is influenced by Prabhupada. I've been guided by him through my whole adult life. I was fortunate enough to come to this movement at the age of 18, and I don't know anything else. And without even thinking, it's just, just even the way we eat, even the way to go to the bathroom, everything we do, the way we dress, applying tilak, how to understand our being, our gross and subtle bodies, our connection to Krishna. It's all being guided by Srila Prabhupada constantly, and we read his books. And if you need inspiration to read his books, just watch Srila Prabhupada translating up to his very last breath. The minimum you can do is get some, just out of duty, whatever reason you can find, just read Prabhupada's books, even if he wants just some self-help. They're extraordinary books, and we need to read those every day, because Prabhupada has been quoted as saying, I wrote my books so that my disciples would chant Hare Krishna. I wrote my books so that my disciples would chant Hare Krishna. It's an important statement. So they guide us on how to think, act, how to brush your teeth, scrape your tongue, how to go to the toilet, how to wipe your bum properly, how to have a shower. Prabhupada, if you think about it, he's taught us all those things. He's like the greatest grandfather for me. Both my grandfathers passed away before I was born, so he's been and there is a benefit that's been said, if you're a grandchild rather than direct children get chastised a bit more, it's a bit more strict. If you go to the shop with daddy and you want some lollies, he says, no. If grandpa's there, you'll buy a pack and slip into you. So there's a special sweetness of that relationship. Obviously, we don't take advantage. But I'm super grateful, Srila Prabhupada, for your constant guidance. I wake up to your voice and go to bed, your voice, instructions, and you've been so kind to allow me to do a little bit of service and stay within the association of your wonderful devotees. And the most wonderful gift for me is your most intimate realm of Vrindavan and your Krishna and all your friends and the gopis. And you've invited us into that world as well. Well beyond at least my qualification, maybe some of us as well. You've introduced us and invited us right into that extraordinary world, which is you can't claim any qualification for that. So that's very, very, very generous to be given that gift, to be introduced to the intimate Supreme Personality of Godhead in that realm of Vrindavan, which is beyond Vaikuntha and beyond ordinary dealings, beyond awe and reverence, and I don't know, and you've given that to everybody. It's just like mind-boggling. So thank you, dear Srila Prabhupada. I pray at your divine lotus feet that I can somehow or other do a little bit more for your wonderful movement and associate with devotees till they drop, I guess. Not to drop one day. Thank you very much, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Krishna. Shanti, Purana Prabhu, and Daneshwar, and maybe everyone for offering space.
Jai Srila Prabhupada. You are an incredible world shaker, an iconoclast. You told us that you are not trying to, not through me directly, but I've heard through your disciples, not to prop up, assist what's happening in the world today, but to destroy the present culture. The Western culture has got nothing to offer, you said. The elements of the culture, the science, the technology, the other aspects which we can use in Krishna consciousness, okay, we can use them in Krishna consciousness. Mukunda Maharaj has written in his book, Divine Nature, recycling is garbage. These things are Band-Aid solutions. Band-Aid solution. Despite being such a world transforming figure, I've also heard from your disciples that you, in your personal being, appear very normal, not weird, very approachable, loving, caring, concerned for everybody. Every living entity, every living entity, not for changing but every living entity. The plants, you would walk around Mayapur and you would chastise the leaders. If there was a banana tree or a little patch of grass that was not being properly nourished, you're not looking after the residents of the Dham. I lament often that I never met you personally. But as it's understood, we can appreciate you through your teachings, through your disciples, through your writings. Just hearing your words in the lectures, just reading some of your purports in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which you describe as your personal ecstasies, give me a little window into the depth of your profound love for Krishna. I also lament that I not often miss day. Broad places we managed to attend. In my call, we'd been out on the collection amongst the ice and the snow, and then suddenly bang, we'd be in the association of devotees. So again, I find myself back here in the association of your wonderful disciples and grand disciples. I'm very thankful for that. I didn't spend much time with somebody who was very
to the Prabhupada disciples, and one was they were talking about the fish. They were talking about they're talking about the Fisher Mansion, and because everyone knows the Fisher Mansion, of course, famous building. So the disciples were going in, and in the foyer, I think there's this giant nude on the front wall. So all the sannyasis are going in, and Srila Prabhupada's there, and all the sannyasis are looking away, and blah blah blah. And then Prabhupada looks at it, and he goes, and he looks at it, he goes, "Wow, the artist did a really good job." So we're looking away, but Prabhupada's seen the good qualities in everybody. So I had a realization, no matter who we are, what we have, there's something good in it somewhere, even though it's, an ocean of ignorance and passion, somewhere within us there's some connection to some goodness. So the point is that we never give up. So there's a great thing I saw the other day. There was a famous guy he was a gold guy, and he bought this block of land, and he'd been studying it for years and years, and he realised that there was a heap of gold there, So he started mining for it, digging, right? So he spent years doing it, and he virtually, virtually killed himself, right? So and then in the end he goes, it's not there. I'll just give up. So then he put it on the market and he sold it. So the next guy turned up, and he knew a bit about gold, so he just started digging again. And then he put one pick into the seam, and bingo. He hit, this is a true story, he hit the biggest gold seam ever in history. So the story of that, the analogy behind that is never give up in your Krishna consciousness. Because the material world, padam, there's always birth, death, old and disease. It's always going to, a knife in your back. There's going to be people bad mouthing you. There's going to be people doing so many things in the name of Krishna consciousness anyway as well. So we have to never give up. We have to develop eternal connection, and that connection is through service. When people say we don't know Prabhupada, we can know Prabhupada through our service. So if we dedicate ourselves to ISKCON through whatever service you can do, that's how you'll know Prabhupada. Because you'll get the mercy that way, and you never give up. In the end, you'll get the gold. You'll become the richest person.
They've read. So before we start the Pushpanjali, Madhurangi will come and call those names out. But and as well as that, everyone, I do really want to thank Madhurangi for gorgeous decorations. Maybe we can give a big huggy ball to Madhurangi. And also give a big hurry ball thank you to the Langa Latik, Devi Dasi, for making all the Prabhupada's garments today. And thoughts and prayers, please, everyone, if you didn't know, Ajita Prabhu, a very hard-working, wonderful disciple of Srila Prabhupada. Ajita has come down with a very nasty case of shingles. So please keep him in your thoughts and prayers. He's been working incredibly hard for the last 3 years during this COVID pandemic, managing everything, and his body's finally just collapsed. So we're sending best wishes to him for a speedy recovery. The books today, everyone, Prabhupada's pleasure. Head books are Radha and Ruchi, and they've been ably assisted in the kitchen there by Cedric, Sunanda, Tanu Rajni, Maggie, Pete, Kirtan, and many others. So please give them a big hug. Oh, and Committee's aunt. Yes, please everyone, before you leave today, have a look at this wonderful artistic masterpiece up here. Beautiful quotes from Srila Prabhupada, prayers written on the Jaladuta, his helplessness feelings just before arriving in America, and predictions that Mahaprabhu's name would spread to every town and village, and so on all over the world, which is, of course, Prabhupada's incredible determination true. And evening program tonight, everybody. Yes, we've got you all here. If you want to come back this evening, 5 p.m., there'll be more opportunity to make offerings to Srila Prabhupada if you didn't get a chance this morning. Prabhupada stories. Damodar Astikam at 6 o'clock, 6:30 Gora, RT, 7 o'clock sit down Kirtan, and 7:20 special RT Bhajan and offering of lamps, because it's 7:25 p.m. on November the 14th, 1977, was the time when Srila Prabhupada retired this realm, and return to the gardens. So please come back tonight, everyone, if you can. But for now, unless there's anything else I've overlooked, Ruby Goki, yes? Okay. Okay. Sure. Okay, so we've had a few sent into Matarangi, but please, everyone, Kartik keeps going for a little while longer. Still plenty of time to, send into Matarangi how many pages of our books you've been reading each day, and they will be announced a little bit later on. All right, so I think, without any further ado, would everyone like to be upstanding? And perhaps a couple of devotees, looks like you're already lined up there. Get some flower petals, everybody. We can do a little housekeeping, push all mats to one side. And Prabhupada's disciples, as always, please come to the fore, and we'll be off to go on this divine grace. Srila Prabhupada ki! Srila Prabhupada, 100th disappearance anniversary, Prabhupada Mahotsav ki! Prabhu will lead the beautiful Guruvasic prayers in the Midday Raga.
It's not working. Om Ajnana Tirthamyasya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhisham Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahiyam Dati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Rutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sarvajatam Sahagana Ragnatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Alijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Param Sahagana Lalita Shri Vikaka Ambitam Nama Om Vishnu Paraya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Vastyatya Deshatarine Nama Om Vishnu Paraya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Tinamine Shri Vashabhanavi Devi Daitaya Kripabhaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Bhavave Namaha Madhuryo Jala Premadhya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gora Karuna
Namostute, Namaste Gauravani, Srimurtaye Dinatarine, Rupanuga Vrudhapa, Siddhantavantaharine, Namo Gaurakishoraya, Saksat Paragimurtaye, Vipralambhara Sambhode, Param Pujayate Namaha, Namo Bhakti Vinodaya, Sachidananda Namine, Gaura Shakti Sarupaya, Rupanugavrayate, Gaura Vibhava Bhumestram, Nidesha Sajjana Priya, Vaishnava Savabhoma, Shri Jagannathayate Namaha, Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha, Adidanam Pavanidho, Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha, Namo Mahavadanyaya, Krishna Prema Prayate, Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya, Namne Gauratishe Namaha, Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam, Bhaktarupa Sarupakam, Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam, Namami Bhakta Shaktikam, He Krishna Karuna Sindho, Dinabandho Jagatpate, Gopesha Gopika Kanta, Radha Kanta Namostute, Jayatam Suratapango, Mama Mandamate Kaki, Masarasva Param Bhojo, Radha Madanamohano, Divya Vrindaranya Kalpa Drumadha, Srimad Ratnakara Sinhasanasto, Srimad Radha Shila Govinda Devo, Estaliki Seyamanos Marami, Sriman Rasarasam, Sriman Rasarasaram, Vanshivata Tata Shitaha, Karsham Veno Samer Gopi, Govinatha Shriyesudana, Dapta Kanchana Gaurangi, Radhe Vrindavaneshwari, Vrishabhanusute Devi, Pranamani Hari Priye, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare,
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare,
Hare Rama Hare Rama,
Hare Rama Hare Rama,
Rama Rama Hare Hare,
Rama Rama Hare Hare,
Namo Vishnu Padaya,
Namo Vishnu Padaya,
Krishna Prithaya Bhutale,
Krishna Prithaya Bhutale,
Srimate Bhakti Vedanta,
Srimate Bhakti Vedanta,
Swami Niti Namine,
Swami Niti Namine,
Namaste Saraswati Deve,
Namaste Saraswati Deve,
Gauravani Pracharine,
Gauravani Pracharine,
Nirvishesha Shunyavadi,
Nirvishesha Shunyavadi,
Paschata Deshatarine, Shampanacharya Srila Prabhupada ki Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prithaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta, Swami Niti Namine, Srila Prabhupada Pushpanjali, Srila Prabhupada ki Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prithaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta, Swami Niti Namine, Desha Pushpanjali, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Shri Prabhupada Samsarudama Nalalita Loka Gana Gana Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Please stay for the Srimad prayers, everyone, because the first tsunami wave of devotees is washing up on the transcendental shore of New Govardhana. So there is an opportunity to let that wave pass through. But most importantly, everyone, please spread the word because next Sunday, slightly postponed because of torrential rains and by Indra last week. But Govardhana Puja, everyone, Sunday the 6th of November. Yeah. So, and the program has been adjusted somewhat. It's no longer starting in the morning, it's starting now 2:30 p.m. Okay, in the afternoon, just to kind of evade some of the heat. Getting very hot here. So 2:30 everyone's starting the Gaur Puja, 3 o'clock Abhishek, 4 o'clock there will be class, 4:45 circumambulation of Giriraj when it's cooling off a little bit. There's a folk dance, everyone. Fabulous feast. Gora Arati, Damodar Astikam, next Sunday, the 6th of November. So, at the temple. At the temple, yes, at the temple. Yes, back at the temple, everyone. So, who has got the harmonium and who would like to sing and who would like to lead, please? Yes. I'll show you that prayer. Be seated, everyone. Tsunami wave is still going through.
Just gonna get hit.
Hare Krishna! Hey, someone you can hear me. Don't forget Govardhana Puja. Next Sunday, 2:30 here at the temple. Afternoon program. Yeah, at the temple. Next Sunday, 6th of November. Govardhana Puja. Be here, please.
Jai Gaura Premanande Haribo.